Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, the Orthopedist. You go to Brock. As always, remind you, if you got a roof issue, give us a shout 364-1007. Coming soon. The name of our new roofing company. Coming soon. Can't wait to share it with you. We are operational, but give us a shout 364-1007. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and ProChargeEV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all. I was in Tiger Stadium yesterday for the LSU spring game. Busy day, spring game. We had a birthday party at our house last night for mother-in-law and brother-in-law, and stayed up late last night and watched UFC 300. So great fight card, man. We get into some of that if you care to. And LSU baseball loses the series to Tennessee 3-1. Pels wrap up the regular season today against the Lakers with a playoff spot on the line. So a lot to get into. Let's start with the spring game. I'll get into baseball in a bit. We'll save the pain for later. It was interesting being in Tiger Stadium because they started with some practice periods, the special team script, and like a red zone script, and then they went into the spring game, which was the first half was 15-minute quarters, the second half was 12-minute quarters. They basically used a running clock. They got the whole thing done in an hour and a half. It was interesting because watching the spring game sort of validated everything, all of my takeaways that I said from last week's practice. First, offense dominated when they went into the actual spring game scrimmage portion of it. If you watched, there was a point where Xavier Thomas got behind the defender. Nussmeier hit him for a beautiful ball over the middle for a touchdown. Kyron Lacey, I think he beat Ashton Stamps on his touchdown. They were the first offense was just unstoppable. The great news is the second team defense was better than the second team offense. So they got a lot of guys work. Kyron Lacey, like I mentioned, was unguardable. Really encouraged about Gabe Relaford. Gabe Relaford and Kalaj Cobbins, two early enrollee defenders in that front seven, who both really made a push to say they could play. So, and one of the things Brian Kelly said after the spring game was, with Relaford, for example, he said, okay, well, Relaford's beating guys like Tyree Adams or whomever it might be that he's going against there. It's like, okay, well, now we got to get him reps against Will Campbell and see how he does. Because that's what you're going to see when you get into Saturdays in the SEC. So, okay, you beat some of the younger guys. Let's see how you do against an All-American left tackle, right? So that's sort of the next step, which is really encouraging, and that kind of speaks to what we've talked about. But the other thing Brian Kelly said afterwards that was pointed, he was asked about some of those guys, or I think what he was asked was, how much better do you think the defense can be? I think it was Ed Daniels that asked him that maybe, and And Brian Kelly's answer, sort of unsolicited, he said, paraphrasing, we still have a ways to go, but since Corey Raymond and Bo Davis have been here, it's like the players that have come through our building, meaning the recruits, Townley goes, we haven't seen players like that here the last 2 years. And you could tell he was excited. It was like the jump in talent that's coming is going to be really impressive. So anyway, Tigers also got a commit from JT Lindsay. He's a top 150 prospect overall, bordering right there on top 10 running back from Alexandria Senior High. I actually did talk to Frank Wilson for a bit after the spring game on the field. We were talking about Lindsay's commitment. Well, again, I guess he can't public. Well, you have a private conversation. You can't publicly talk about that, right? But really excited about him. Louisiana kid, got the dog in him. So You had Harlem Berry, you got JT Lindsay now committed. Um, you got Caden Durham coming in. They're excited about that running back room too. So anyway, okay. Y'all got questions, comments about the spring game? Fire away if you watched it or anything you'd like to know. I'm happy to tell you what I saw. Um, baseball loses 3-1. Like Groundhog Day, man, more of the same. Tigers out hit the Vols 9-5. LSU scored 1 run on 9 hits. LSU scored 1 run on 9 hits. LSU scored 1 run on 9 hits. Luke Holman was awesome. He exited in the bottom of the 6th with 2 men on, 2 out. Gave way to Griffin Herring. Herring gave up the 2-run single, so put LSU behind. He'd give up a solo homer in the bottom of the 8th, and LSU loses 3-1. You're gonna get swept today. I may not even. I seriously, I may not even watch the game today. It's gonna be ugly. All right. Let's say some good mornings here. Let me take. Hold on. Take that off. Here we go. All right. Trey Beatty. Good morning. Leon Williams. Good morning. Spring game highlights look good. Hopefully, look good this fall. Nuss look great. Nuss was 7 for 7. In the spring game portion. I'll tell you, there was before they went to the spring game, they did like a red zone drill. And PJ Woodland did have a great pass breakup. Kyron Lacey was on the right side and sort of ran an out to the pylon. And Woodland jumped the route and knocked the ball down. So PJ Woodland had some nice moments. I thought Deshaun McBride played well with the twos. Harold Perkins had a really nice play from his inside backer spot. Beautiful read on a zone play. Got a TFL, really aggressive physical tackle. Thought Perkins played well. So yeah, man. Corey Peterson, congratulations to my little cousin Kai Preen on his TD catch. Yeah, man, boy, he was streaking too. I think it was Ricky Colin Hurley who threw that. Stoned Musso. Good morning, everyone. Spring game got me ready for an optimistic natty run. Well, I don't know. I think this is what I think we confirmed. Offense is going to be really good again, right? They got so much talent over there, and they should be fine. Like the offense should be really good. Defense still has issues, but they should be better. So the question is, how much better, right? And I'll continue to say, like, if you were 106 in the country this year, I don't need you to go to 6th or even like 26th, but can you go from 106 to like 56? Because if you do that, then I think you're plenty good enough to be 10-2. And if you're 10-2 in the SEC, you're in the playoff. Austin Kidder, good morning. Wish I had $1 for every time this team out hits an opponent but still loses. Well, that wouldn't be a lot of dollars, Austin. I mean, with a 3-11 in league play, so it's 14. Like you'd have max $14. Well, they've lost 11, so you'd have max $11, and I don't even think it'd be that many. So it's not that many dollars. But I know what you mean. Hey, Dad. Good morning, Rocky, Killian, Matt. Tell me our defense looked better than the spring game last year. Look, if you were watching it, especially with the ones, Rocky, like that's the thing people are going to focus on, right? So on the first series, he threw the first series, man. Nuss throws about a 15-yard pass to Mason Taylor. Second play, Caleb Jackson is like a 13-yard run. It's like boom, boom, you're at midfield. And then rush comes, Nuss steps up, just climbs the pocket right up the middle, and then just lost one over the middle. And it was Avion Thomas who got behind the defender in like 3 plays you score. And everyone's like, oh, God, here we go again. But like, I think that offense is going to do that to a lot of people. The offensive line is dominant. You have right now 2 good running backs. You have a 4th year like, here's the like, this is maybe the most, underrated or understated part of the spring game, I think is Nuss, what we wanted to see was Nuss kinda purge the bad throws out of him, right? Like, the careless throws, um, and every time I've seen him this spring, and yesterday was the case as well, he's looked really good, like, patient, taking what's there, but able to create, you know? I think Nuss is gonna have a really good year, man. Christian, do you listen to Alondra's UFC podcast? So she dropped her first episode this week. Alondra, who works with us at 1045 ESPN, she produces Off the Bench. And when I came back from the Barrett Sports Media Conference in New York, one of the things that was very interesting was a over the past year. So there was a presentation from oh god, one of the research companies. It'll pop into my brain. Anyway, one of the things they found was like over the last year, a 50% increase in like female listenership to sports podcasts. Now, a lot of that can be attributed to um, New Heights, right? With Kelsey's because of all the Swifties. But so I told her that I was like, hey, I think there is an opportunity for female voices in sports media. Um, so if you have a passion play, like let's get something going. And so she wanted to do an MMA podcast, really just all combat sports. So she's calling Bad Corner Advice, and it's on YouTube and all your podcast platforms. And she dropped her first episode this past week. I started to listen to it. I got through about half of it when I was listening the other day. But I'll go back and listen. I think I'll listen to this week's as well. So kind of get her going, get her some advice, some uh, pointers, tips, and get rolling. UFC 300 last night was phenomenal. Card was. I mean, if you didn't see the end of the Justin Gaethje Max Holloway fight, like they'll talk about that forever. I mean, it was a it was a battle. Max Holloway had obviously won the fight, and then like with about 20 seconds left, he just points to the middle of the ring. He's like, "Let's go!" And like he has the fight won, right? And he's like, "Let's go, let's." And they just start like street fight, just like flurry. And with 1 second left, Holloway clipped Gaethje. I shouldn't say clipped. He caught him and sleeped him with 1 second left. I mean, it was incredible. It was an incredible finish. Edwardo, baseball is not a win. Feel bad for Holman. He was as good as it gets. That's very true. Luke Holman was great yesterday. And it started from the very beginning of the game. LSU swung at the first 3 pitches they saw, and they ended up with 2 men on base and couldn't get anybody home. The ground ball double plays, the inability to manufacture offense, it's just they're not good at it. It's just not what they are. Jay has built a roster around big free swinging guys, right? But Mac Bingham's your cleanup guy, and he was 0 for 4. Batting cleanup, 0 for 4. Milan was 0 for 3, grounded into a double play. Milazzo was 0 for 3. Jones was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Bingham was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. That's tough. Braswell, Kling, Milam, Milazzo all struck out once. Got guys on base, man. Michael Cook, good morning. Brant Roban, morning, Scone. My UT buddies are picking me up to head to the game today. I'm going to tell them they're playing with house money today, that UT deserved it for what LSU did to them last season. Hey, you know what you tell them, Brant? Say, You can have this series in April. We'll take the 2 wins last June. Leon Williams watched the game yesterday. Offense really letting the pitching down. Multiple opportunities the last 2 nights. Beat the number 14. I mean, Leon, that's been the story all year, man. Same was true whenever they played Florida in game 2. Same was true whenever they played Arkansas in all 3 games. They had chances to win. They had a chance to win the second game against Vanderbilt. I mean, that's been the story of this season for LSU. They're not getting blown out. It is so reminiscent of that 2011 season. And I know a lot of people don't remember that, like the seasons we remember are championship seasons. The 2011 team is the last one to miss the postseason altogether. Like they didn't make the SEC tournament. They were 13-17 in the conference, and they lost 7 games by either 1 or 2 runs. It was 5 games by 1 run and 2 games by 2 runs. I mean, they were that close to being a 20-10 team and a national seed. Like even if you just split those games, right? That you lost by 1 run or 1 or 2 runs, you're a regional host site minimum, but they missed postseason altogether. Got to be able to close, man. Got to be able to finish, and they're not. Big part of it is, they're, again, like you're counting on role players to be stars. Like Mac Bingham is not a star. Like Stravinsky has been a guy who really struggled to find any playing time throughout his career. He got hot late last season, and what's happened here is he's reverted to form of what he was his first 3 years in Baton Rouge. Jared Jones still has. I'll give Jared Jones credit. He's working way more walks this year, but still a lot of swing and miss, which you're going to have with him. Josh Pearson, he's a career 240 hitter. He's hitting 238. I mean, it's what he, it's what he is. Anyway. Brett DeGrow, good morning. Juan Cotto, of the 3 quarterbacks behind Nuss, looked like Hurley was the most comfortable. I know he was in for the last few minutes. He already looks confident. It also helps that he was in with the 3s. One of the things we did see, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but we did get to see we saw the starting defense go in against the second offense. And I think it was at the start of the second half. And I think BK did that because he wanted the defense to have some success, because they went 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, and so forth. And so at the start of the second half, he went second offense, first defense. And the first defense had a really good defensive series. And I think it was just to show, hey, look, our offense is great. Like, they're going to do this to a lot of teams. Like, look at what happened whenever you got to go up against the 2s, and it was overwhelming for the defense, which is encouraging. Stone to Musso, I was at the Arkansas game. It was abysmal. Don't need them winning a natty. GameCube, man. Morning, Matt. Garrett looked really good yesterday. Do you think he could be a top 5 quarterback in the next year? Do you mean like top 5 in the SEC, top 5 in the country, top 5 in the draft? You maybe have to be a little more specific. It's hard. It's hard to say all that just because he doesn't have. As much as he's been around, he just doesn't have the experience yet to know the game experience. Like even Jaden, while you say, well, he was a 2-year starter here. Yeah, but he was a 5-year starter in college. You know what I mean? Guy started 60 football games in college. So, I'm hopeful though. I mean, I thought he looked great. I think he's looked great this spring. Trivia Carter, good morning. GameCube man. Oh, sorry, I read that one. Richie Burt, defense is not going to be good again this year. D-line can't stop the run up the middle. Secondary getting towards deep middle times. So here's where I would tell you, Richie, or anybody like Richie, to just relax for a second. Keep in mind, number 1, you're going to get reinforcements on the defensive line. I'm not telling you got all Americans coming in, but you're going to get reinforcements. Number 2, Harold Perkins is still learning inside backer, and with every day and every rep, he's going to get better. Number 3, you're still figuring out roles in your secondary. Okay. So new defense, new defensive coordinator, figuring out roles. Uh, I saw Damone Clark yesterday after the game. Talked to him for a bit on the field, and I was asking him about about Blake Baker. Damone was even like, dude, I was bad my junior year and senior year. Like, I mean, he became an All SEC linebacker. In my opinion, he should have been like, in my opinion, Damone Clark should have won the Butkus Award his senior year. Like he was good enough. I mean, he was phenomenal. Um, but he was just on a bad defense. Um, anyway, but he was fired up about Blake Baker. I mean, he had nothing but like good things to say. Like, just watch, they'll be fine. So, I mean, I'll take those guys' word for it. Sorry, I read that one. Um, so I mean, my point is, Richie, no one's expecting him to be great, but they'll be better. They'll keep getting better. New defense. You'll have reinforcements coming in June. Um, the young guys in the secondary are still figuring out roles. They'll be fine. Guy Brooks, Ryan Dixon, is LSU baseball problems players, culture, or coaching? Yes. I mean, Ryan, I think it's some of all. Like, one of the things, like what I just talked about, right? And I don't, I'm not trying to like call out guys, but you lost a ton of talent from last year, and you have role players you're asking to be stars. Like, that's a problem. Number one. Um, Look at guys last year who were so pivotal for you down the stretch. Thatcher Hurd, Nate Ackenhausen, guys that haven't been good for you this year, and quite honestly, had really struggled up into that point when they got hot late last year. So you ask yourself, like, was last year's postseason run maybe the exception, and this is more the rule? Um, so players are certainly part of it. Like, a coach can't go take an at bat for a player, can't go throw a pitch or catch a ball. Um, the culture, I think, is certainly part of it. I don't think you have that. Like, you got to have leaders that expect to win and elevate their play late in games to win games, and you're missing that. That might be youth. And then, I mean, obviously, look, Jay assembled a roster. He assembled a roster. He's putting the lineup together. He's making decisions. I think, continuing to roll with this sort of veteran lineup is netting you the results that you're getting. I mean, I think it's. I mean, let me go see these young guys. You know, let me see Jake Brown. Larson's pretty much solidified himself. Um, kick Milam over to short. Let me see that instead of Braswell. Like, you know, you keep doing this, you keep running the same lineup out there, you keep having the same results. What it is. But I would also say that a big part of it is you lost 7 regulars from the national champions. Um, and you have a brutal schedule to start. I mean, it's a big part of it too. Guy Brooks, what's going on? Oh, sorry, I read that one. Juan, morning, Scone. I got Max Homa to win outright plus 6,000. Wow. I do not have a play on Max Homa. I do have a play. I hope I have Scheffler. I don't know. I played the 6 consensus plays that Ott gave. I do have a play on Scheffler because how can you not have a play on Scotty Scheffler? And my big one, man, I'm hoping for a big day for Joaquin Neiman. I did have Joaquin Neiman with a top 10, and that'd be a nice payout if he's able to rally a little bit today. Jason H. going to Strawberry Fest. All right, Jason, enjoy the day. Spurge, what's going on? Good morning. Bubba Smith, Earl, good morning. Matt, if we win today, can we still make the playoffs? The Pels? Yeah, I mean, no, the Pels are in the 6th seed. So if the Pels win today, they lock up the 6th seed. If the Pels lose and the Suns win, Suns are at Minnesota. So the Pels lose and the Suns win, they tie, and the Suns have the tiebreaker. So you'd end up in the play-in. So a win today or a Phoenix loss, and the Pels are the 6th seed. Wendell Norman, Alan Black, what's going on? Stone Musso bases juiced so many times, hurts to watch. Definitely not fun. Rick Newman, what units as a whole were you impressed with out of the spring? Said the running back group looked good. Remember, you only had 2 running backs. And you're probably you're talking about Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson. And running behind that offensive line, of course, they're going to look good. I mean, the offensive line and the receivers are the most impressive. I think the second unit in the front seven, I'm excited because like Paris Shand was running with the twos, but that's a guy that's going to play a ton of football for you, right? Um, I think Deshaun Womack, like Shand and Womack were the two ends with the twos who are both going to play a ton. Now, your starters are Savion Jones and Braden Swinson. So maybe I'd say that group, the defensive ends. Savion Jones and Braden Swinson looked really good. And then after them, Shand and Womack. You throw Relaford and Cobbins in that mix. I mean, you've got some talent there rushing the passer for sure. Leon Williams, where's Gavin Guidry? Like that's another one, a guy who just hasn't performed with his opportunities this year. Um, I mean, tell me where you would have wanted to pitch Gavin this weekend. Um, Gavin Guidry has a 4.91 ERA and 11 appearances with 11 innings pitched. You know, maybe they just don't feel like he can extend. And you haven't really had the opportunities with a lead late in the game to go to him. Rick Manuel, Devin Kelly, I'm definitely going to watch today. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Bailey C. Why is LSU referred to by the acronym, not Louisiana State? We don't call Mississippi State MSU. I don't know. I really don't know when that started. Guy Brooks, Matt, how did West Weeks look? I think both the Weeks brothers look good. They're running with the twos, right? So Penn and Perkins are your first team inside backers, and West and Witt were your number twos. They look fine. Yeah, like I said, I think the whole second team defense was better than the second offense. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Abner Neal, what's going on? Ben, does Caleb Jackson's TD run show the greatness of the offensive line or that the defense is still lacking? Both. Caleb Jackson had about a 30-yard touchdown run up the gut. But, I mean, I told you that last week when I went to the scrimmage. I was like, there were plays where Caleb and Josh Williams were into the secondary without being touched. I mean, that offensive line, y'all, DJ Chester at center, they're really excited about him. You have two 4-year starters at guard in Dellinger and Frazier, and then you have bookend tackles that are going to be first-round draft picks. Like, it's not hyperbole. Like, they may have the best offensive line in the country this year. I mean, there might be another unit that's awesome. I'm sure there are other units that are awesome, but, like, this one's on the short list. They're awesome. Now, next year, you're going to have one returning starter. I mean, you're going to have your center, DJ Chester. That's it. Like, next year, 2025, that's probably going to be a little bit of a challenge because you're losing everybody. One Nardi, Jeff McKithen, what's going on? Carl the Cat. All right. Cliff and Carl got to meet yesterday. Chris Colbert loves seeing Hurley sling it, even if it's not versus the ones. It was a beautiful pass, man. I mean, he hit Kai Preen in stride. It was a beautiful touchdown. Great way to wrap the spring game. Guy Brooks, baseball cannot find a key hit with runners in score position. Ball, y'all, Jay needs to hit the portal this offseason. Did great with Tommy and Paul. Obviously not great this past offseason. Yeah, but you see, like, he did hit the portal. He got Luke Holman, but then he went and got Gage Jump, who we were all celebrating, and that hasn't really manifest once you got into conference play. You got Braswell, you got Bingham. I mean, you thought, okay, you got your shortstop, you got a veteran outfielder, you got Cade Woods in the bullpen from Bama. I mean, strikes and gutters, and you had more gutters this year. Now, Holman's been great, obviously. Gulf South, good morning. Has everyone been wrong about Mason Smith leaving? He's been mocked mid-late second round when a lot of local guys said he'd be late day 3 pick or go undrafted. So Gulf South, candidly, I don't know who the local guys are that said late day 3 or go undrafted. The only thing I've said about Mason Smith is whenever the combine came around, you can go check this, that I thought he had the most to gain at the combine. Because if Mason Smith went to the combine and did the freak show athletic things that Mason Smith is capable of doing, that teams would fall in love with him and they'd take him. Because he was mocked. Look, I mean, he was mocked before this past season as a first-round pick. Now, When you say wrong about Mason leaving, I think it just depends what your feelings are. So, I mean, I've said this. I don't mind with this being on the record. LSU's collective offered Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo each a $500,000 to stay. So their options were: do you stay, play another year of college football, put a $500,000 in your pocket, maybe increase your draft stock, and then go, or do you go? Well, when you're Mason and you've dealt with injuries, obviously he had the ACL, and this year, I mean, a lot of people didn't talk about it, but like he had the ankle injury in fall camp, that kind of lingered. Um, I think you look at it, you say, do I come back and risk getting injured and then see my draft stock fall even further? And the other part of it too is if you're not going to be a first round pick, the with rookie salaries capped, um, the difference between being like a third round pick and an undrafted free agent is kinda negligible. It's all about getting to your second contract. So, and if you're outside of round one, remember your rookie deals are 4 years. As a first round pick, the team has a fifth year option. So think of it this way: you go play three. So you go play 3 years on your rookie deal, and before you hit free agency, your team can extend you. So it's all about getting the contract clock ticking to your second contract. If Mason goes, I think Mason's a day 2 pick, and I would really pull for him and hope someone falls in love and takes him somewhere in the in round 2. That'd be great. But um, so much of that's just what the individual guy wants. I remember like the most glaring example of this was Michael Ford. Ford was caught in that log jam of running backs in 2011 and went pro, and everyone's like, "Man, why did Michael Ford go pro? He could have come back, kind of been the number one guy." Michael Ford hated school. Like, he just hated school, and so he was ready to go pro, and he ended up having a nice NFL career. Not a great NFL career, but he went undrafted, made the Bears, and had a nice career. Um, Guy Brooks, let's see. Lose, they get run ruled. Brett Gidry, morning sconers. Caleb Jackson's gonna have an all SEC caliber season. I don't know, Brett. And I think he'll be fine, but I don't know that you're gonna see one guy have enough touches to have that type of production. Like, I think you're going to see Williams and Jackson like split rushes. I think the best comp that I've come up with for this year with Williams and Jackson, I think is LSU 2018. So like if you look at 2018 LSU, you had Nick Brissett just barely cleared 1,000 yards, was a 1,000 yard rusher. And Clyde, um, let's see, I'm trying to pull it up right here. Like I think I was looking at it this week, that's why it's fresh. So Nick had 240 carries for 1,039 yards, and Clyde had 146 carries for 658. So I think like that's probably what you might see is two guys take, shoulder the load, um, and see how it goes. Okay. Charles Bowles. My Alabama Crimson Tide spring game looked good. They'll definitely fool some people. I mean, Charles, the reality is the expectation in Tuscaloosa has been winning championships, and that's not going to happen for this team. So I don't know what you mean by fool people. I mean, my Bama is burning rants have been fun. The point wasn't that Bama was going to go, 5-7. It was just that your days of expecting to win every time you take the field are over, and they are. Cliff Nelson, unless Nuss can put the ball in the zone read sometimes and keep the defense honest, the LSU run game will not improve. I disagree with that completely, Cliff. They're gonna be great. And like I don't know what you mean by improve. I mean, they were great last year. It was just different with it was just different with Jaden. You're just gonna be more traditional this year with with Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson. I mean, Diggs averaged 5.2 yards per carry last year. Josh Williams 5.5, Williams 5.2. Noah Kane 4'9", Caleb Jackson 5'3", John Emery 5'3". These dudes average 5 yards a carry because you have an awesome offensive line. He'll be fine. Brett Guidry, Poirier for the belt June 1st. Let's have a party. I don't mind that. I think that's a good idea. Where are we? Cortland. We call ourselves LSU and State calls themselves State. Corey Peterson, at least the girls are winning. Christian, I was impressed with Kylan Jackson. Kylan Jackson did look good. It was good to see DBs playing the ball in man coverage, still sketchy with zone defense. That was the first touchdown, was they were in zone, and they're supposed to be in cover. BK said after they were supposed to be in cover 3, they played cover 2, and obviously there was no help over the top, and Xavier Thomas got wide open for a touchdown. But that's coachable, right? That's a teachable moment. Brett DeGrow, for all the fans on Jay for his team's playing conference, what point do players take responsibility for not hitting clutch situations? Yeah, I mean, Brett, my feeling has always been, I see I'm like really behind on comments. Yes, like a coach in baseball coaching, like, let me say it another way. Football coaches are the most impactful on a game in their sport. But you have an offensive coordinator who literally every single play is calling the play. Like they are crafting the attack plan every play. And there's a stop, a definitive stop, and a start, whistle to whistle. It's not continuous flow like basketball. Where yes, coaches are calling, are you playing man to man? Are you playing zone? Or, are you what strategically are you looking to do offensively? You're getting half court sets, you're trying to run. Like, there is that. But in football, we all understand, right? It's whistle to whistle, and the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator it's like strategic warfare. In baseball, a coach, you can give your batter information. You go up to the plate, you say, okay, this guy, like, here's the scouting report on this guy. Fastball 93. He likes to, his out pitch is a slider. It's down and away to righties, whatever, like, be on the lookout. He's probably going to start you with a heater up, what likes to work ahead, whatever. You can give your hitter all that information. Like yesterday, I'll give you an example. This is a great example. Drew Beam, who pitched for Tennessee yesterday, is a strike thrower. Over 66% of his pitches he throws for strikes. He is a strike thrower. So LSU went in yesterday with the approach of being aggressive early in the count. If Drew Beam throws you a fastball, a first pitch fastball, he's throwing it for a strike, hit it. First pitch of the game, Jared Jones swings, flies out. Second pitch of the game, Tommy White, single. Third pitch of the game, Ashton Larson, single. You know what I mean? Like, they went up with a plan that the coaches gave them. But when you're in the box, the coach can't execute for you. If the coach puts on a bunt or a hit and run or a steal, or it gives you a swing away on the green light on a 3-0, like, the coach can't swing the bat for you. I mean, you have to go in the box, play within yourself, and trust your hands and your eyes and make contact and drive the baseball. Same thing with pitching. Like, yesterday, Jay made the decision with 2 on and 2 out in the 6th to pull Luke Holman and go get Griffin Herring. He was playing a lefty-lefty matchup. Like, he was playing the percentages. Okay, we're up 1-0. They have 2 on. There's 2 out. Holman is nearing the end of his day. Herring's been awesome for me. Let me go get my lefty to go lefty-lefty here and see if he can get this guy out and preserve the lead. And he didn't. Griffin Herring threw him a meatball. Guy roped it. You're down 2-1 and you lose. Is that coaching? I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, clearly it was the wrong decision. It didn't work. But like I always say in baseball, if you have sound logic for the decision you make as a coach, then I can live with the result. And I can live with that result from Jay. Like, I understand what he was doing. Holman was, at the end of the day, They'd been through the lineup 3 times. There's runners on second and third. You're up 1-0. You got 2 outs. You need to get an out. I'm sure he's looking at the splits to say, how does this batter fare against a righty than a lefty? He goes and gets his best arm out of the bullpen to go lefty-lefty, and Herring didn't make the pitch. Is that on Jay? I'm not saying, look, Jay assembled the roster. He puts the lineup together every day. He makes those decisions. Obviously, there's fault that falls at his feet, but there's a handful of moments in a game that you look to a coach and say, like, now I'll tell you on Friday, when you had runners on scoring position, less than 2 outs, and he pinch hit Ethan Fry for Pearson to get a righty in there because Pearson's a lefty. Tennessee went to the bullpen, got a lefty. Jay pinch hits Fry. Well, we went through it. Fry's like 1 for his last 14 with 11 strikeouts in league play. Like, I think that was a bad decision. Hey, do you want to, real quick, we take your backpack off. Do you want to sit on Dad's lap real quick and say hi to Dad show? Real quick. And then you go look at iPad, okay? Well, Dad's going to go to church. You tell me. Go to the mall. Okay, here we go. Oh, all right. Okay, who do we have here? What do you say?
Hi, Dad show.
Hi, Dad show. Now, wait. I want to ask you a question. What day is today?
Sunday.
Yeah. Hey, when LSU plays, what do we say?
Go Tiger.
Good job. Okay, you ready to go now? He's ready to go. Okay. You can come back anytime, okay? Oh, what did you see? What did you see there? He saw this. And I have a notification from Mr. The Riot. Okay. Please smash the like button if you're there on YouTube. Subscribe up the channel, Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Appreciate y'all for being there. Let me go to the bottom and kind of work my way back up a little bit because I realize I'm like 25 minutes behind comments. So, trivia, James Charles. Thank you all for the hi, Drew comments. Appreciate that very much. Let's see. Where are we? Bobbity, 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 boop. Randall said, all I hear is Jay has to coach this year. All I hear is Jay actually has to coach this year. That's why LSU is terrible. He's not getting a free pass because the team loaded like last year. Jay is the best in the country, in my opinion. You see, Randall, let me flip that on its head. I will tell you that I think the job that Jay did his first year was nothing short of amazing. That for that team, when you really look back and think about it, that 22 team, Jay's first year, what he inherited, what he had to sort of like makeshift his way through, and he and Jason Kelly had to like hyper analyze every pitch thrown. I mean, I thought he did a masterful job maximizing that team. I think this team is stuck between a rock and a hard place where you lost not only talent, but you lost program guys. The ones who Beloso, Dugas, yes, talented guys. We all know Cruz and Skeens, but Thompson started every game at short that Jay was here. Trey Morgan, talented guy, but also a program guy from New Orleans. You understand Joe Bear. You lost a lot of those guys. And I think you're really struggling to find guys that are just going to like take command. You know, like your best player is Tommy White. He's not a very vocal guy. That's not really his thing. where is that guy on the team? Like, you want your best player oftentimes to be your most vocal guy. That's not necessarily the case with this team. So, but I give a tremendous amount of credit to Jay for the job he did 2 years ago, and obviously the national championship season. All right, Tiger Diver. How bad was the D line yesterday? Again, like the twos were really good, and then when the ones went against the second offense, they were really good. I just it's the contradiction of, or the conundrum of, looking at a spring game, because if the offense does well, do you go, oh look, our offense is great, or the offense does well, you go, oh man, our defense stinks, and vice versa. And so I think there's nuance involved, and you have to look at certain circumstance. Like, I mentioned the long touchdown run, or the long touchdown pass, right? Brian Kelly said afterwards it was a bust in the secondary. But you also had a long catch and run by Kyron Lacy where he just dusted I think it was Ashton Stamps. Well, Kyron Lacy's going to do that to a lot of guys, but not every team has a Kyron Lacy. So, yeah, I'm measured here with this defense. I'm just like, can you just give up 20 a game and not 30? You know what I mean? I'm not saying I need you to be Michigan or Iowa. I just need you not to be what you were last year. Can you find a middle ground? Can you not go to Ole Miss, score 45 points and lose? Like, that's what I need. You realize, like, flip that result. Just flip that one result. You're a 10-2 football team, and under the new playoff system, you're in the playoffs. Like, just don't be the worst ever. That ain't too much to ask. Carl the Cat. Is the new roofing name going to be a symbol like Prince? No, it will not. Got a cool logo, though. I think y'all are going to love it. I think you're going to love the name. We'll unveil it soon. Again, we are me, Terrio, Tilly, Joe, all of our same crew, right? Same office there on Perkins that you pass all the time by Wimbledon. We're our same Baton Rouge crew. We are just starting a new company, new roofing name, expanded menu of services. And we'll be able to unveil it soon. I'm fired up for it too. But in the meantime, you still call us 364-1007. Is trivia complaining? Do you see my comments anymore? Trivia. I got like 20 minutes behind comments. Okay. So then I went to the bottom and now I'm scrolling back up. Let me go back and find some of your comments, Trivia. Hang on. I'm going to find them. Hang on. Let me see. That ain't what I wanted. Hold on, Trivia. I'm going to find something. I'm looking, Trivia. I'm looking for you. I don't know, dude. I don't see your stuff. I mean, there's your good morning. I'm scrolling. Anyway. Okay. Read rule. Good morning. B. Lorky. If you could have one hot sauce to use in all your dishes, what would it be? Maybe unpopular take. I don't love hot sauce. I'm not super like into just making things hot to make them hot. There's times where I like peppers and stuff like that, and some spice is a nice accent, but I'm not just going to take like hot sauce and just throw it all in my gumbo or anything like that just because. Earphone say, yeah, going to be at Smoothie King Center. Let's go Pels. Fire. What time is tip today? Pels and the Lakers tip it is a national game. It's 2:30 on ESPN. So let's get it today, man. Be a lot of fun to watch this team beat the Lakers. ESPN television should be a great crowd at Smoothie King Center today. Don't leave it up to Phoenix. So baseball's at 2, Pels are at 2:30. Just go get a win, punch your ticket in the 6th seed. Let's start a best of 7 against OKC. Let's see how you do. Um, Cortland, people who claim Jay was born on third don't acknowledge players improved under him. Even Cruz got better at the plate, increases average RBI, decreased strikeouts. Um, Cortland, I must be missing that. I don't know that I've ever heard that argument. Um, I mean, Jay inherited a team that hadn't been Omaha since 17, um, and had sort of progressively declined. Uh, under Paul, they did have the 19 year where they hosted the Supers, but they were not a national seed. They hosted the Supers because Florida State upset Georgia in their regional, and so LSU got to host the Supers. So, of course, then you didn't have a postseason in 20 with COVID. Um, so I that doesn't really hold water. And I don't really subscribe to the opinion of like, well, someone else, like there were a lot of players that were recruited by Maneri and his staff. I mean, Nolan Cain deserves a tremendous amount of credit for a lot of those guys. I mean, you had your Cruz um, and Trey Morgan, a lot of important guys in that team. Beloso, Gavin Dugas, Thompson, Joe Bear. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys that Jay inherited from Paul and his staff. Uh, but you don't win the national championship without Paul Skeens, period. Um, Riley Cooper was as important an arm out of the bullpen as any, period. Gavin Guidry got the last out in Omaha. Jay Johnson recruit. Whoops. Um, yeah, that's I mean, two things can be true. Like they're not mutually exclusive. Paul and Nolan Cain did a great job recruiting and they left talent here. So too did Jay go get the pieces you were missing to get back to a championship level. I mean, Thatcher Hurd won the championship game for you last year. Um, I don't even know the merit of that conversation, why people would even say that. And I've never heard that. Maybe I just live in a cocoon. Bob Poole, Edwardo, Nuss Bus driver. Um, Crazy statement when 6 coaches in the SEC have natties. What was the statement? Must have missed Randall's statement. What'd you say, Randall? Oh, the part about Jay having to coach this year, yeah. Yeah, like it's the other thing that makes this part like while going through this right now absolutely sucks. It's the other part that we knew when you looked at the schedule. And again, it doesn't make it easier, but you have to acknowledge Florida, Arkansas, Vandy, Tennessee. Boom, 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 boom. Even if you threw in an Auburn, you mixed in a Missouri. You know what I mean? Like you mixed in a series at home against Ole Miss there. Your math is dramatically different. You're going to get those opportunities, but again, it feels much different when you're more here and you have little dips and peaks and stuff, but you stay steady, as opposed to you start the season, you go boom, and then the whole rest of the season has got to be like, all right, let's see how much higher we can get, see if we can get back to that 500 range. Angela, we're going to the SEC tournament. Sure hope LSU gets there. Angela, I am very confident saying LSU will be in the SEC tournament. I know that sounds silly now, but it's for a reason I just talked about. Like as of today, LSU is in the SEC tournament. Actually, I didn't see what happened yesterday in the league, but um, but you're going to have 15 games where aside from they have 12 games of your final 15 are all going to be series that are inherently winnable. So you're going to have an opportunity to go on your run. Yeah, no, so as of today, LSU would be out. LSU and Auburn would be out. So Ole Miss won yesterday. LSU lost. Um, let's see, Gulf South. Let's see, two of the coaches have been on the verge of being fired for multiple years, got lucky in the postseason. I don't know that I buy being lucky in the postseason. Um, I mean, every team needs luck, right? Some degree of luck. Um, I mean, LSU doesn't win the national championship last year without the Trey Morgan play on the bunt, right? Now, part of that's luck. Part of that obviously is Trey Morgan and Alex Milazzo executing a brilliant play. Um, but specifically with Ole Miss, a big part of that was look, you had a freshman lefty who emerged into a dominant arm. Guys are allowed to get better. Which to say that someone on this staff doesn't improve by the time you get to the end of the season. I mean, think about 2 years ago, how guys like Paul Gervais developed as the season went along and how impactful he became. Cortland, Edo talking about coaches who have been at their Power 5 schools as long as Jay's been in the Power 5. Randall, okay. Y'all are just arguing with each other now. Okay. James, I have an important question about 100.3. Okay, fire away. Bob Poole, I know yesterday was the spring game, but lack of baseball discussion in the chat room speaks volumes. Bob, it's kind of going back and forth, and I think a lot of that just stems with where I am in the conversation, where I am on the comments, right? And we did a lot of football talk at the beginning, and then people delved into baseball a lot too. But let's just be clear. I mean, I'll say this forever, Bob. Losing, from my perspective, okay, as a talk show host, and you're talking about content, like losing is always going to cause more of a reaction than winning, unless if it's like an epic win, like the 2022 Bama football win or the win in Omaha or last year. Tommy Tanks with the walk off against Wake Forest. I go jump in my pool, obviously, but like I guarantee you, if you go look at Musso's post game, so Musso at the box, you'll go check it out. Go look at his post game views. I guarantee you that the views after losses are higher than the views after the game one win against Vandy last week. I guarantee you. That's just, I mean, that's how it goes with whiskey and wine too. The shows after losses always generate more pop than wins. So, you're going to have a lot of interesting conversation around a loss. I get it. Same people blaming Jay for pulling Holman. I guess, y'all, this is maybe just where I'm a little disconnected because, like, the only thing I would see from people blaming Jay for pulling Holman would be if people were tweeting me about it or commenting here. Like, I'm not running to go read other people's comments or listen to feedback on what people say about Jay pulling Holman. But all I'll say is what my feeling is always. All right. I said it before. I'll say it again. In baseball, where you fail 70% of the time you're in the Hall of Fame, it is a game of failure. And as long as whenever you make a strategic decision, there is a logical explanation for why you made the decision you did, then I can live with the result. Like in that moment, yes, with the benefit of hindsight, you could say, man, he should have left Holman in. Okay. Well, you were through the order for a third time. You had a lefty coming up. Jay, you got Griffin Herring, who's been awesome for you. So you say, let me go get my best reliever, who's a lefty, going against this left-handed hitter. And they're probably looking at the splits to see what this hitter did, lefties versus righties. And if your average is 30 points higher against righties than it is lefties, and I got this great lefty in the bullpen, and this is the third time he's seen my right, you know what I'm like? I go, let me go get Herring. I get it. Like it made sense. So I can live with the result. It sucks. Herring left one up, and the guy hit it. How about this? Score more than one run. Like if you're putting that game yesterday at the feet of Griffin Herring or Jay Johnson bringing in Herring, how about not leaving 10 men on base again? How about the first 3 innings you had the leadoff guy on and you got nothing out of it? Like score more runs. Like if that's where your anger or distress is being placed today, You are missing the mark. Like yesterday was not about pitching. Your pitching gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. That is plenty good enough to beat anybody in the country. 3 runs on 5 hits? Like the problem is you got 1 run on 9 freaking hits. You don't have a single clutch gene in your lineup. That's the problem. Trivia, YouTube's hating on me like trashy Facebook. I don't know, man. Maybe you're on some different chat. Jay never leaves a pitcher in too long. He's the king of 8 pitching changes per game. Austin, I agree about hot sauce. I enjoy my food when I eat, not seeing how much pain I can take. Let's see. Brett Guidry, Caleb Jackson reminds me of Charles Scott. It's an interesting comp. I'd have to go check. It feels like Caleb Jackson is taller. Charles Scott was great, man. Got into some off the field issues, obviously, but he was great. Let's see. Sully might not have won his title if Eric Walker doesn't tear his UCL. Cortland or Poche didn't have a bad game. I mean, if we're being completely honest, or if they didn't call runners interference on Jake Slaughter, because if LSU wins game 2, you've got Lang ready to roll in game 3, and they had already burned Jackson Coar out of the bullpen, so they would have been going bullpen approach against your All-American ace in game 3. Let's see. Tommy White hit the. What did I say? Did I screw up something? I'm sorry. Yes, Tommy White walk off against Wake Forest. I'm sorry. I don't remember what I said. Let's see. Randall, you don't win the national. Okay, this conversation is terrible. I'm so over this. You all are honestly now, the 3 of you are annoying the hell out of me right now. This whole argument about if Jay Johnson has merit, like, please take that elsewhere. Please, I'm begging you, take that elsewhere. That's a mind. Okay, you wanted to have the convo, you had it. Please move on. Like, that is mind-numbingly dumb. A mind-numbingly dumb conversation that you're having right now. Clip, not a single clutch gene in your lineup. Well, is there? Like, tell me who is the guy in this lineup that you're aching to have up in a key spot. I mean, Tommy White would be it. Who else? The Tommy White walk-off comment was in addition to the other players Jay brought in impacting the championship. Oh, okay. Got it. Yes. All right, I got to go to church. All right, let me get 2 more. I'm going to get Jonathan, then Gulf South. Here we go. Jonathan said, besides third game of each SEC series, LSU has been in it, just haven't had the ball bounce LSU's ways, probably pressing too hard, relax, things easily can flip. I don't know that I would say yesterday was pressing. Where are we going to go? Mall. Daddy's going to go to church. We're going to go to the mall. He's back. There. Where? There you go. Gulf South, thoughts on the QB2 competition after yesterday? I think at this point I would lean Ricky Collins because of his he has some pretty dynamic ability with his feet. Again, very small sample size. But there were times AJ Swan had guys open, he just missed them. There was one play, I think it was CJ Daniels, who had his man beat, and it was sort of left corner of the end zone. I mean, it was a touchdown ball. and Swan threw it out of bounds. You put that thing on the back pylon, and Daniels has a touchdown, but he threw it out of bounds. He overthrew him. Those are the kind of plays that I look at and I go, golly, in this league, you got to make that throw. So yeah, I'd lean Collins as of today. Small sample. Again, I didn't see every I didn't see every practice this spring. I saw last weekend scrimmage and I saw the spring game. But I would say slight edge Collins as the number 2. Okay. All right, I got to go. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all are awesome. Despite my chastising for the silly conversation about the validity of a championship. Y'all have a great day. As always, shout out to Brock. What? You want to tell everybody bye? Here we go. Let's tell them bye. We can tell them bye? You blow kisses? That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Hey, who was at Drew's house yesterday? Who came over? ZZ came over. Who else? Who else came to Drew's house yesterday? Hershey came over to Drew's house.
Yeah.
Were you so happy?
Yeah.
Hershey is a dog.
You.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. I love you. Y'all smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe up to the channel. Appreciate y'all. Have an awesome Sunday. Go Tigers. Go Pels. We'll see you. Peace.